Good morning everyone. Today we'll be exploring prints and patterns in Illustrator. Okay. So this demonstration will tell you how to create patterns. Pattern simply means repeating one single tile horizontally or vertically or both ways. Okay. So we have two-way pattern and we have four-way pattern. Two-way will either be repeated horizontally or vertically. But a four-way pattern will be repeated horizontally and vertically both. Then we also have seamless pattern where identifying the seam of the pattern is a little difficult, but a trained eye can definitely recognize the pattern. Okay, so let's quickly go on Google and then we will go find out what are patterns. We will just have a look at them, and if I go to the images, we will see many options. Now the first one is actually a list of not a list, basically different pattern tiles are stored there. So it says 50 stunning geometric patterns in graphic design. You could go and then download them also, but we are not going to download them. We will create our own patterns. Okay, now look at this one, looks really interesting, and this is also a seamless pattern. This is also seamless, this is also seamless, but here seam will not make much of a difference because the tiles are very clearly defined. Okay, now we will go back in Illustrator and let's have a look at where we have the option for defining a pattern. We can go to the object menu and then look for this pattern menu, and here we have just three options. First is make, then edit pattern, and then tile edge colors. Okay, so we'll just explore make because that has almost everything which needs to be there. So let's say that I have this shape, a group of shapes. Okay, let me have some. Now if I wish to make a pattern out of it, how should we go about it? It's very easy. In fact, over the time, Illustrator has really improved the way we deal with patterns. In earlier times, it was really a difficult process, but now it's extremely easy. Defining the pattern and thereafter manipulating it in real time and seeing how the pattern is looking. Okay. But before I define the pattern, I'll just bring out the rulers by saying Control R and then pull up these guidelines, and I want to show you something. See, the pattern is going to be repeated like this. Okay, horizontally, and vertically it is going to be repeated like this. So you could imagine more versions of it on the horizontal side and also more versions of it on the vertical side. This is how patterns are going to be repeated. But then there are some other arrangements also possible, which is there in the define pattern option. However, when you are creating a pattern, always think of a tile which is rectangular or better square. You could make a rectangular also tile, that is fine, but my advice is to go for a square tile. Okay, now you have to select everything which you need to include into the pattern and then go to the object menu, go to the pattern and click on make, and then a dialog box will pop up if you are doing it for the first time, and it is just to tell you that the new pattern has been added to the swatches panel. Sometimes what happens, people define pattern and then they wonder where to look for it, right? So here it says, just read out this: any changes made while in pattern editing mode will be applied to the swatch upon exit. So if you make any changes and then say okay, when you exit after defining the pattern, your original artwork from which you have started is also going to be altered. Okay, you will understand it just in a while. So I don't want to see this again because I know where to find the patterns. Here is the place where I'll find the pattern in the swatches panel. I'm gonna say okay, and instantly I see the pattern is being created, right? Now let's understand what is this blue box. So this blue box will surround everything which you have selected and will define a pattern tile. Okay, now notice this. The pattern tile has many motifs, or let's call objects, or call them objects for now, but none of the motifs are touching each other, and I would want the pattern to be repeated in that manner. For uniformity purpose, I don't want them to be touching with each other. And I see that on the left hand side we have these two touching each other, these two also are touching each other. So I can select this and then pull this inside a little, and select this and pull this inside a little. Okay, and this one also is too close to this one, so I can pull this here. And essentially what I want you to observe is that I have absolute control over where I can place the object and what modifications can I do with it. If I make it rounded, see, it will happen in all the tiles at once, right? If I want to rotate it, it will happen in all the tile at once. If I want to resize this one, it's gonna affect all the tiles at once, right? And I can keep on editing it till the time I'm satisfied with it. In fact, if I want, I can fill colors into it also. Change the color. Okay, and create really interesting stuff just by working on this one tile. Okay, so let's say Control C, Control F, make I want to resize it, and it's not letting me resize it because I created it from rectangle, so that is why it is doing some drama here, but no problem. What we will do, we'll make a copy of this one and then place it here, and see, it's going to reflect in all the tiles also. All right, now once you choose the option pattern in the object menu and choose make, look at this pattern option dialog box also, and there we have a lot of options. And then look at this bar here which pops up below the document tab, and if the ruler is active, it will be below the ruler tab. There we have a few options. First says new pattern. So basically what it says, that current isolated pattern, and the name of it is new pattern. Where it is taking the name from? Here. So I can change it if I want. So let's say my pattern. Okay. If you click outside, it will change to my pattern. Right. Now then we have three other options. First is save a copy. Let's say that I want to try out various options of the same type. I want to explore, like say I like it, but I don't like it so much that I'll just go ahead with it. I want to explore more, but I don't want to lose this one also. So what I can do is I can say save a copy, and the moment I click save a copy, notice what is gonna happen here. And it is asking basically, do you want to go with a new name? So I'll just say my pattern 1 and then say okay. See, something happened here, right? I said my pattern 1 and it created a new swatch, pattern swatch here, and then it says the same dialog. The new pattern has been added to the swatches panel. I don't want it again to be shown. So I'm going to say don't show it and then okay. If I want to change something here, I can do so. Make another copy of it, the object if I want, resize it. Okay. When I'm happy with this, I have the choice of either saying save a copy or say done. If I say done, what is gonna happen? One more, the moment I said make, one pattern got created and we are essentially editing the same thing. And the name of that pattern is my pattern. The next pattern which I saved as a copy is my pattern one, right? So I am still working on my pattern. The first time I said make, I'm still working on that. So I can continue working on this, and if I am done with it, I'll simply say done. Or if I want to make more variations, I'll continue saving it as a copy and work on it. So I'm done with it. I'll just say done. But before I do so, let's experiment with these things because I have already saved the thing which I liked most. I am in the experimentation mode right now. So let's explore these options. The first option where it says tile type, I have a list of the arrangements of tiles. So I can go for brick by row. I can go by brick by column, hex by column, and these overlaps in this structure is not looking so nice, or maybe it looks nice also. I think it looks nice in this case. We can control this, right? We can place it here if want to, okay. Now I can change this to hex by row also. And if I go back to hex by column, you will see that the same arrangement continues. Okay. Now, let's say I like this one. I want to keep this arrangement. Then we have width and height. What this does? Let's try increasing it. So right now it is 81 and they both are logged with each other. So if I go for 100, the size of the hexagon will increase, right? So we have more space in between two different tiles. Then we have couple of more options, size tile to art and move tile with art. Size tile to art, if I take this, the artwork essentially will be the size of the tile. But if I uncheck this one, see, that's why we do not have width and height option now available to us. If I say size tile to art, that means the size cannot be changed because I want the tile to be exactly the size of my artwork, right? So in order to change the tile, you'll have to switch this off and then you can play around with this. I can again type in the value 100 and get back to the place where we liked it most. Then we have move tile with art. Right now what is happening, if I click it and then drag it, even if I select all of it and then move it out completely, so if I select all of it and then move, what is happening? The whole pattern is shifting. So if I say move tile with art, still the same thing is going to happen, but this time the tile is not going to move, right? And if I click drag, different variations will show up. So I'll say Control Z and switch this on because it works best when this is switched on, right? Then we have few options here in terms of overlap. Bottom in front, left in front. Now in this case, nothing is overlapping, but if I go to hex by row, some overlaps are happening. So these overlaps can be managed by here. In this case, because we have not filled, okay, here we can see, right? At least one overlap is there. So what if I choose right in front? Okay. So if you hover, it will say left in front. So the tiles which got created on the left hand side is going to be overlapping the original tile. And similarly, these options you can play around with. Then we have copies. So this is just for preview purpose, and it doesn't matter in how big shape you apply this pattern. It will keep on repeating. It's not like that after doing 5 repetitions it will stop. This is just for preview. So if I want to see it on a 3 by 3 scale, I can see it on 3 by 3, or I can go for 7 by 5 also. Usually a 5 by 5 will suffice, but if let's say that you want to really see how it looks in a bigger space, you can go for 9 by 9 also. Then we have option of dim copies to 70%. So this dimming is actually fading the other copies of the pattern slightly so that you can work on the main tile. But if it helps in visualizing better, you can go for 100% also, and that will not do any dimming, and you'll have a better visualization of the pattern also. I'm gonna switch back to 70%. These are just preview settings. It will have no effect whatsoever in the resultant pattern. You have show tile edges. You can switch that off also if it helps in visualizing it. And you can also show swatch bounds. That means how big the swatch you have started with. Okay. Now once you are happy with your settings, all you have to do is accept done. That's it. So if I say done, any other copy will not be created, but the same copy from which I have started is going to be modified and done, and everything disappears, right? Now to apply those patterns, we'll have to have a shape inside which we can fill the pattern. So now we will see where we can fill the pattern and how we can fill the pattern. Very, very simple. First, you have to notice what is prioritized. Right now, the stroke is prioritized. If I go and then click on any of the swatches, what is happening? The color of the stroke is changing, right? So if I click on the pattern right now, the color of the stroke is gonna change, because what happened? The stroke, the pattern got applied to the stroke, right? We don't want that. We want it to be applied within the fill. Yeah. So I can simply click on this, and then it gets applied to the fill. So the pattern which we created got applied, right? We can apply it in different kind of shapes, geometric, organic, whatever shape you create. Now notice this. Let's say that you have created this beautiful artwork and filled the pattern in that, and you wish to move this artwork. You don't want to change the way it looks, but you want to move it. So if I'm moving it, the look of the circle is changing because the pattern is static, right? Hmm? So this might be a good thing in some cases, but this might be also a bad thing in some cases. You would want not the look to change when you move the circle, right? That is a possibility. Again here, forget about moving. If you increase the size of the shape, then the pattern stays at the same place, and this is a good thing actually, right? Application wise, this is a good thing. What if I want to rotate it? See, if I rotate, the pattern stays as is. So how to deal with this? Let's learn that. Now this is again a setting which you can find in the preference panel. If you say Control K on the keyboard, it will take you to the preferences panel. Here, look at these check boxes, and they are growing. Like there was a time when we used to have only 8 check boxes. Now we have, I don't know, 30 at least. I can see, like 20 though at least I can see. So here, look for that option where it says scale, strokes and effects. Okay. Now this is something which you should be vigilant of. This is also a problem which a lot of people face, but not right now. This will not help you in current situation. What we are looking for is transform pattern tiles. This option. So if this option is checked and you move you will see that the pattern is moving along the shape, right? And if I increase the size, what is happening? Yeah, so it scales. So the pattern is transforming while moving it or changing the shape. Okay, but what happens if I corner it? It still stays the in the same position. So understand, this is transformation, right? This is not. If I use the sub selection tool and select these two anchor points and move it, the patterns are not gonna move, because what we are doing, we are selectively transforming the shape, but not the entire object. Shape is a sub object. The fill is again a sub object. Okay. So if I rotate it, the pattern is also gonna rotate along with it. Okay. So now you can again switch this off and it will again start behaving the way it used to. Another important thing I want you to pay attention is that the pattern grid here is different than the pattern grid applied here. You know why? Because if I overlap, I don't see them getting superimposed on top of each other. So for this object, the pattern grid is separate, and for this object, the pattern grid is separate. What if I want the pattern grid to be same for both of them? In that case, I can select both the objects and reapply the same pattern on them. And this time the pattern grid, okay.
So does it have to do with the coordinates of the
No.
shape where they
Yeah, coordinates. So probably we'll have to start with the same
have the
position.
same XY coordinates?
Yeah. But anyway, that is again a very negligible number of times you will come across a challenge where you have to match the grids. So I assure you that it will not be a problem. And even if it comes to that,
You can use shape.
no, then then you just choose transform pattern tiles and then just manually, it will take a little while, but yes, you can do that. Not a problem, right? Okay. So this is about making patterns, applying them. What if I wish to change the pattern now or edit the pattern? What we need to do is simply double click on this in the swatches panel and we are back to the same place, and we can edit it the way we want. So let's say that I want to place it here, and when we say done, it's gonna make changes to the pattern we have opened. Or if you wish to make a copy of it, you can make a copy of it also. I'm gonna say done, and then you will see that the changes also reflect in earlier objects on which we had applied the pattern. So this is pattern in Illustrator.
If we happen to use this, we've used same pattern for both the shapes, and if we'll change the pattern,
You make a copy in that.
If we'll make a change in the original pattern, then all of the shapes
Will
be
be updated.
It's
So
not like paintbrush now, wherein it used to ask leave strokes or
here also you have a choice. You can override the styles actually. You have a choice actually.
Like in paintbrush, it used to ask the leave strokes or apply to all strokes.
So in that case, if you are sure about, the best way to deal with pattern is make copies. Always make copies so that you don't lose your original thing. And let's say that I completely want to break the link from this to the pattern, then I can select it, go to the object and choose expand. Okay, and fill and stroke and then say okay. And in this case, the pattern will be disconnected.
That to ungroup it.
Yeah. No, even if it is in the group, it is fine, I think. So if I change, this
It
is
is applying to everything.
yeah.
All
So
of
that
the
that
objects
means
in
yeah.
virtual.
So that means the connection is gone.
Uh,
Okay. All right. Patterns are also translucent or transparent. So it does, you don't need not to have a solid color in the background to convert that into a pattern. That's pretty much about the patterns in Illustrator. uh, if you have any questions you can ask. No questions? Very good. Try it out.